I wish I was joking about this next topic, but my man Michael Wilbon doesn't see himself, he says, as a journalist anymore. He said, quote, "I don't know what I am now." Let's talk about it, because he made this admission, surprisingly, during a recent interview, and he just suggested that he no longer views himself in that regard. He said, "I used to be a journalist. I don't know what I am now." We know who he is, though. Award-winning columnist through 30 years, Washington Post, and then he's largely pivoted away from that writing, right? Now we know who he is on PTI, sitting there all the time, every day for us for 20 years, it feels like. And now he's being credited as who? One of the guys on NBA Countdown as well. Let's get some of the quotes out where he says, while he's talking about what he's doing right now, and he's noticing that it is a pivot away from what he was known to do. And it's really going to play itself into like how even the most pure of journalists now has realized this industry has shifted, so therefore I have shifted as well. So despite being credited as a co-writer, Wilbon downplayed his involvement in like CP3's newly released memoir. Now he's still doing some writing in that, and he says, while largely letting Paul's story speak for itself, he said, "This is not my story. This is not me telling a story. This is Chris's story. I was his editor. I'm honored that he asked me to be involved in this project." Okay, now with the trend towards the spectacle of what's happening in sports media, spectacle over substance, some would say, it was apparent during the recent layoffs for ESPN, and he took notice of that as well. Saw in many of the casualties and the companies struggling to kind of figure out what's the play going forward. It's the changing TV landscape. Now, what are we talking about right here with Wilbon? Wilbon saying, "Hey man, I still write, but not to the same extent." Wilbon saying, "Hey, I'm taking a look around. I don't know who I am, what I am, because I'm not exactly what I used to be." This is who Wilbon is right now. Wilbon has been grandfathered in, not by just age and resume, but by his expertise to a landscape that is shifting by the day, but keeps him protected. Like he still stands strong as the signal through all this noise, right? Like if you really wanted to get a pure opinion and you're like, okay, let me just go to somebody who may still have bias because it's his opinion, but still is connected to a purer time, you go to Michael Wilbon. That's who Michael Wilbon is. Michael Wilbon is not going to get caught up in the madness of just going out there being shock jock, but at the same time, he's being pulled by the culture that is saying we're rewarding that, but we're going to protect you here. That's why he doesn't know where he is, because he's not over there, but he's certainly not writing like he was at the Washington Post either. So do you guys agree with Wilbon that he doesn't know where he is and that this is a changing place that is really redefining who he is? Who is Michael Wilbon to you? To me, that's another guy's salute for his greatness, for always doing it his way, even though that way is now changing.